Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. Uh, Imagine having this insanely advanced multi-angle camera system pointed right at a single blade of grass, right?
Right.
But meanwhile, there's like an actual car crash happening 3 feet away and no one sees it.
Oh, that is exactly what it felt like watching the URC this weekend.
Yeah, the structural blind spots were just glaring. But hey, before we get into the incredible drama of today's deep dive, please take a quick second to subscribe to the Rugby Obsession channel and newsletter. It really helps us out, and you won't miss our analysis of the game.
Definitely. And I mean, we really have a wild set of incidents today. They honestly put the whole officiating infrastructure of modern rugby right under the microscope.
They really do. So our mission today is to dive into the explosive fallout from that recent clash between the Sharks and the Ospreys.
Yeah, the one where the Ospreys walked away with a 21-17 victory.
Exactly. But look, if you read the post-match reports, that final score is, it's almost entirely irrelevant.
Completely irrelevant, yeah.
Right. The real story we're looking at today is all about these unpunished, quote-unquote, dog shots, severe injuries that are literally altering international campaigns, and some super serious accusations of tactical gamesmanship.
It's just a lot to process.
It is. So we're going to embrace all the sources we have, fairly unpack these incidents on both sides, and just figure out what loopholes this match exposed for the sport moving forward.
I think it's the perfect case study, you know? It shows that friction between the strict letter of the law and the actual chaotic reality of an 80-minute test match.
Yeah, and the margins for error are just so brutal.
Exactly. When the officiating system breaks down, the physical and tactical consequences are massive.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the moment that really fundamentally altered the match, and maybe even the Springboks' upcoming test season.
Right, the Ethan Hooker try.
Yes, the try and that deeply controversial aftermath with the Ospreys winger Luke Morgan.
This is really the focal point of all the immediate outrage. I mean, you have Ethan Hooker, he's 23 years old, having an absolute breakout run.
It's just a phenomenal run.
Yeah. He crosses the line, grounds the ball to score, and then right in the direct aftermath of that grounding, Morgan dives onto Hooker's back.
And the physical toll of that dive was just, I mean, it was immediate and severe. Hooker suffered a dislocated shoulder.
Ouch.
Right. He's pulled from the game, doesn't even come back for the second half, and his whole URC campaign is effectively done.
Which is devastating for him.
And beyond the club level, he was firmly in the mix for the Springboks July internationals. Now he's back in Durban, undergoing scans, and his international debut is completely in doubt.
It's terrible. But the injury is really only half the story here.
Yeah, the real fury is directed at the match officials. What were they doing while Hooker was literally getting his shoulder separated?
Well, the referee, Mike Adamson, sent the play upstairs to the TMO to check the buildup, and this is exactly where the procedural breakdown happens. They reviewed the sequence, but if you listen to the audio feed, it tells the whole story. They were hyper-focused entirely on checking for a potential knock-on in the phases prior to the grounding.
They completely missed it.
Completely bypassed the massive late contact on Hooker in the in-goal area.
It's wild to me. I mean, judging momentum in rugby is like trying to enforce a speed limit by looking at a blurry photo. It's tough.
It is very difficult, yeah.
The rulebook asks referees to quantify a player's physical inertia in real time. But come on, this wasn't a complex physics equation.
No, not at all.
This is a player who had already scored. It's like crossing a finish line or stepping out of bounds in other sports. Yeah. Your physical guard drops naturally. So taking a late hit there is especially dangerous.
No, absolutely.
And the tech frustration is huge. How do we have a system to hyperanalyze a micro bobble in a ruck 3 phases back, but we miss a tackle on a vulnerable celebrating player right in the center of the frame?
What's fascinating here is that natural tension between strict technical refereeing and, well, the cognitive load required for broader situational awareness.
Tell me more about that.
We often think of the TMO as this all-seeing eye, but the protocol operates on a very strict communication loop. The referee asks a specific binary question, like check grounding and potential knock-on.
So they only look for that one thing.
Exactly. When the TMO gets that brief, they develop psychological tunnel vision. They're looking at the rotation of the ball, the placement of the hands.
Missing the forest for the trees.
Because they're legally required to answer the ref's technical question first, the broader context of player safety it gets filtered out of their immediate processing. It's an unintended consequence of the structure.
I mean, that structural reality might explain the how, but it certainly doesn't satisfy a fan base or a coaching staff who just watched their star center walk down the tunnel in a sling.
No, definitely not.
And before we get into the massive official fallout and the citing commissioner demands from this, I want to quickly remind you, our listener, that if you rely on this level of deep tactical analysis, please subscribe to the Rugby Obsession channel and newsletter. It truly lets us keep bringing you these deep dives.
For sure. And that frustration you mentioned, that's exactly what we saw from the Sharks camp immediately after the whistle.
Oh, they were furious.
Head coach J.P. Pietersen was absolutely livid, not just at the injury, but at the systemic failure to police the in-goal area.
Yeah, he pointed out that the laws specifically dictate you cannot dive on a player after a try is scored.
Right. And his quote was very pointed. He said, "Rules are there to protect players," and sadly, that did not happen.
And the Sharks didn't just vent in the presser, they escalated this right away. Management over in Wales actually gathered the medical documents on Hooker's shoulder and submitted a formal report straight to the URC citing commissioner.
They're demanding a full investigation.
Exactly. They view it as an illegal cheap shot. We even saw 3 former Springboks take to the media to call the hit disgraceful. They're arguing that losing Hooker essentially derails the Sharks' entire season.
But, to understand the complexity of the citing commissioner's job right now, we really have to look at the other side impartially.
What's the defense?
Well, Luke Morgan didn't stay quiet. He took to social media to push back against this intense backlash from South African fans. He called the backlash shameful.
Wow.
Yeah, and his stance is unequivocal. He believes his momentum was entirely committed and that his actions were, quote, fully legal.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
How do 2 groups of seasoned professionals look at the exact same high-definition footage and exist in 2 entirely separate realities?
It's crazy.
I mean, the Sharks see a blatant suspendable dog shot, but the defending player sees a completely legal continuation of trying to prevent a grounding.
This raises an important question about the gray areas that are just permanently embedded in rugby's rulebook and how citing commissioners have to legislate them.
It's got to be nearly impossible.
It is. The laws try to govern the exact microsecond a tackle goes from legal defense to an illegal late hit.
Right.
When a player is in a try-scoring motion, a defender has every right to try and dislodge the ball, so the commissioner has to look frame by frame. Was Morgan's center of gravity already past the point of no return before the grounding?
Right. Was it unavoidable physics, or did he initiate a secondary downward motion?
Exactly. Did it meet the red card threshold? These polarized views happen because the law requires an objective ruling on human intent and momentum, which is highly subjective.
Well, this blindness to foul play didn't even stop at the try line. That same officiating gap popped up again in the second half.
Yeah, it wasn't a one-off TMO mistake.
Right. It proved to be a systemic issue in this match. Let's talk about Leroux Milan.
Early in the second half, yeah.
The Sharks starting center takes a clear head-on-head tackle. He's forced off the pitch, fails his HIA, and doesn't return. And again, the referee's whistle stays silent.
The TMO does not intervene at all. No penalty, no card, no review.
It's staggering. So you have a team that lost their breakout winger to a dislocated shoulder and their starting center to a head-on-head collision with zero intervention for either.
The sideline temperature was already at a boiling point.
Oh, totally. But then the controversy completely shifts. We move from physical grievances to basically tactical dark arts. Let's talk about the scrum situation.
This is where it turned into a highly contentious chess match. It exposed another major structural vulnerability in the laws.
What happened exactly?
During the second half, the Ospreys lost both of their loose head props to injuries.
Right.
And because of the strict safety protocols for front row positions, Mike Adamson had no choice but to order uncontested scrums for the rest of the match.
And we cannot overstate the tactical timing of this. The Sharks had just brought Oxnake and Vincent Koch onto the park.
Oh, they were fresh and ready.
They were beginning to entirely dismantle the Osprey set piece. They were turning the scrum into a penalty-generating machine.
Dominating territory and possession.
Exactly. When the scrums went uncontested, the Sharks lost their primary weapon for dictating the whole flow of the game.
The uncontested scrum completely neutralized that Nach and Koch axis. And, well, this sudden convenient neutralization led to some incredibly harsh public accusations.
Yeah, J.P. Pietersen and former 7-star Jonathan Mokina essentially accused the Ospreys of gamesmanship.
They openly questioned if those loose-head injuries were even legitimate or if it was a calculated ploy to force uncontested scrums and stop the bleeding.
Mokina even publicly demanded that the Sharks management request the official medical reports on the Ospreys players. They want a full investigation.
It's a huge accusation.
But wait, isn't Pietersen's accusation here incredibly reckless? I mean, we are talking about the front row, head, neck, and spine safety for props under immense pressure.
It is a massive safety issue.
Can we really expect a ref to play doctor and gamble with a player's spine just because the Sharks happen to be winning the scrum battle? If a player says they have a stinger in their neck, the ref has to believe them, right?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you are hitting on the exact dilemma that makes this loophole so toxic.
It's a catch-22.
You are absolutely right. Player safety is non-negotiable. A referee cannot override a medical complaint from a front rower. But, and this is the big say, but because that system relies entirely on an honor system, it has a dark history of being exploited.
Oh yeah, like the Bloodgate scandal.
Exactly. Harlequins, years ago, literally fabricating injuries to manipulate substitutions. When a team is getting historically demolished at the scrum, and they suddenly lose the exact personnel required to keep the scrums contested,
The mathematical convenience breeds suspicion.
the law is built on trust. But in a high-stakes professional league with careers and millions of dollars on the line, trust is a very fragile foundation.
So what does this all mean? We zoom out on a game that officially ends 21-17, but the actual legacy is a citing commissioner investigation, an injured rising star missing international duty, unpunished head contact, and open accusations of faking injuries.
It means we are watching the growing pains of a sport whose physical intensity is outpacing its officiating infrastructure.
That's a great way to put it.
This match exposed the limitations of the TMO protocol with those binary directives, and it exposed the glaring lack of independent verification for tactical injuries.
And whatever the citing commissioner rules on Morgan will be critical, not just for Hooker, but for setting a legal precedent on tri-line momentum physics moving forward.
Absolutely.
It is a messy, complicated, and utterly gripping narrative. It is exactly why the stakes of this sport keep us all so invested. And look, now we want to hear from you. You've heard the breakdowns and the precedents. What do you think?
Yeah, we really want your opinions.
Do you look at Luke Morgan's tackle as a clear, suspendable dog shot, or do you side with his defense that it was fully legal momentum? And where do you stand on the uncontested scrum controversy? Was it just terrible injury luck for the Ospreys? Or do you believe the Sharks are right to suspect tactical gamesmanship? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to read your perspectives.
Before we wrap up, I do want to leave you with a final structural thought to mull over.
Let's hear it.
As rugby becomes more scrutinized by high-definition cameras and strict medical safety guidelines, are we approaching a mandatory tipping point for the laws of the game?
Like what?
If the honor system surrounding front-row injuries is constantly leading to accusations of tactical manipulation, will the sport inevitably have to introduce independent third-party medical evaluators on the sidelines?
Oh.
Having a neutral doctor verify a match-altering injury might be the only way to protect the integrity of the uncontested scrum law without compromising safety. It's a massive logistical shift, but after matches like this, it might be a question the sport can no longer avoid.
That was a brilliant point. When the stakes are this high, the honour system might be a luxury the professional game can no longer afford. Well, that brings us to the end of today's analysis. Please remember to subscribe to the Rugby Obsession channel and newsletter to keep up with all our latest deep dives into the tactics and controversies of the sport. Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode.